Hey Paul, how you doing? All right, let's go ahead and take a look. Kept a simple green ivory. Color scheme's good. I think it's pretty. I've got absolutely no problem. I think that I love the way it looks aged, though the way that you aged it. I think that's a really neat tactic. So looking forward to seeing that over here. Um, so my body copy in Modern 20. It's a great typeface, isn't it? For the time being, it looks this is old manual. So I double check. It's try to drop captions. I have to drop the captions in a timeline. Okay, considering adding a small picture of the original transistor, actually, I think I do believe the only requirement for image is the image of the laureate. So an image wouldn't work there. But I agree, this doesn't work. It's really difficult to tell what that is. Um, so I mean, either really refine it as an illustration or omit it altogether, and let the written um, information define the transistors. Okay, so taking a look at this, I can see that there's no PDF, and also I see that the front of the poster hasn't been submitted with the back. So it's a little bit difficult. I'm working off memory here from the front of the poster. So let's talk about typography, then we'll talk about general page mechanics and layout. So the type, I think this is good. I think that this is a nice setup right here. Um, I mean, I'm okay with this. You know how I am about alignment. I mean, to me, alignment is everything. But right now, I think this is okay. And the reason I say that is because the picture is going to stand on its own, right? The first thing we're going to look at is the picture. We always do. If there's a picture, an image of a human or an animal in a composition, all eyes go there first. Specifically, they go right to the eyes. So I think this diagonal is okay because it kind of leads the eye right to the text. So I think that's okay. I'm going to zoom in here. I'm going to do a system zoom because there's no PDF. So you won't see this, but you will see my cursor. Okay, I think your indents are too deep. I think it's kind of really creating some damage to the left, that clean left margin. I don't recommend indenting that deep. I'm going to say 3 spaces, maybe 4 tops. But really, all you need for an indent is just a little bit of an indication that, yes, that is a new paragraph. There's another way to indicate new paragraphs other than indent, and it's not a rhetorical question. I'm going to answer that in a question, but inside your mind right now, you should be thinking of that other technique, and that is, yes, a space between. Personally, I prefer a clean left margin. And a space between paragraphs because for me, when I'm typesetting, I don't care for these kind of breaks in the left margin. Right margin is fine because it's ragged anyways, right? So we're going to get these breaks. But I think a space between is always, well, to me anyways, I think it's always optimal in terms of setting up your paragraphs and demarcating the fact that that is indeed a new paragraph. Okay, so old style numerals, which we don't have. A lot of students are missing that. A lot of students are missing the old style numerals. So definitely try to see if this typeface has old style numerals associated with it. If they do, then I'll learn how to access them. Hint, it's through the OpenType panel, and you can just Google a quick Google search on how to access old style numerals in whatever typeface this is, Modern 20 or whatever the typeface is that you're using. Rags, gotta watch those rags. I want to talk about those rags in a second. I'm going to give you an example, but I'll have to zoom out to do so. So, the other thing I want to mention is DC, like Washington, the DC and Washington, all caps for that. I'm sorry, small caps, not all caps. Okay, all caps kind of creates a really unusual jump in the X height. We can see that elsewhere where you've used. I thought I saw one other area. It's so difficult to tell without a PDF because this is the quality as I do a system zoom is not quite there. So having a little bit of a difficult time deciphering Lee J something Gulf Research Laboratories italicize that with Professor Lee. That's a proper name. Italicize that. Okay, that's a widow. That's a big no-no in typography. So we do not want widows. Okay, other than that, okay, I'm going to zoom back out now and we'll talk about rags. So I think your rags are really in need of some serious adjustments because right now we get these kind of, you see that hole right there in the type and we see that kind of curved, follow my cursor, see that whoop, that little wave. We see another one kind of right here, that whoop right there. Then we see it right here. We also just see a straight, those are straight. It almost looks justified. And then right here, we've got this diagonal right here. And these are all problematic in terms of rags. I think the best set rags here are, boy, it's difficult to say, probably this area right through here. And let me show you an example. This is what rag should look like. This is bad rag, good rag, okay? Bad rag. Note the big difference between the longest line and the shortest line. We see that, for example, right here. It creates these diagonals. Then we have these wavy areas, whoop, like that. We see that here. There's a wave right there, whoop, see? Then we have, then we have these diagonals here. We can see that right here. These are all no good, right? And then the big difference between the longest and shortest line. This is what rag should look like. Long line, short line, long line. Kind of alternating like that to the point where it's not even really noticeable, but not so consistent that it looks like that or that. You see what I'm saying? You definitely want some kind of rag. So it's typically long line, short line, long line, short line, long line, short line, like that. Okay, so think about that. Go ahead and adjust those rags. Okay, this father of modern electronics looks like it's set in copper plate. And if it is, now this could be a rendering, the way that this is being rendered on the computer, but to me it looks like this has been altered. It looks like it's been distorted. And the reason I say that is because it looks like what you've done is you've placed it here and you have altered the vertical axis without constraining the horizontal axis. So basically what you've done is you've kind of squished it down like this. So remember, when you place type, you want to manually change the size of it. You select the type box, you hold your cursor over that little corner bounding box, and you click your mouse and pull it, but you hold your shift key down to constrain the original aspect ratio. The last thing you want to do is adjust or alter the vertical or horizontal axis without constraining the opposite axis. Really important. And again, I'm not saying you did it. I've seen it happen where it gets rendered like that, but it kind of looks like it there. So check that. Everything else is looking good. Now the timeline, I'm having a little bit of difficulty with the timeline because, I mean, right now it's not really, a timeline is based on an arrow, right? And that arrow is being used in the front of your poster, to the best of my recollection. I think right here, this is a little too, boy, what's the word I want? It's a little, boy, don't take this the wrong way, but it's almost a little too cute. Okay, so I slipped the circle in where the arrow goes and kind of created this little thing here. And I just think that's a little too, don't get too cute. You see what I'm saying? I don't mean to sound derogatory when I say get too cute. It just seems like, okay, there's a convenient solution, let's try it. And for no real apparent reason. Do you see what I'm saying? So I would keep that circle away from that arrow, let the arrow just do what it's supposed to do, and that's indicate movement, right? So I'm thinking this. I'm thinking, okay, so you haven't placed your text in your timeline, so I would definitely want to see that. But I'm thinking this, to create some continuation between the front and the back of the poster. We don't even need this right here, but we can take this out, okay? Take that line out of there. Just take this little configuration right here and use it for your timeline. Okay, so instead of these circles with the years, you have this little guy right there. Then underneath you have the year and then the text entry. Okay, then you have this little guy here. It's going to create some wonderful repetition, some wonderful continuation from the front to the back of the poster. And I think it's going to be visually compelling. All right, that's about what I have. If you have any questions at all, please let me know. I'll be glad to clarify anything that isn't specifically clear. All right, good job. Thank you.